Checkerboard lighting. Checkerboard lighting is when you create lighting patterns on the face that goes from shadow to highlight, shadow to highlight. So think of it like a checkerboard. I'm going to show you how, with a single light, you can put the highlight side of the face against the shadow part of the background, and then the shadow side of the face against the highlight part of the background. So what it is, it's shadow, highlight, checkerboard, all the way across. And so what I'm going to start off with is creating the highlight versus shadow pattern on the face. And so I've taken my 3-foot octabox here and I've created a bit of loop lighting. So let's just start off and see what this looks like. Back up just a bit. Okay. So you can see that on the left-hand side of the face, we have a highlight, the right-hand side, we have shadow. Now, I've purposefully placed my subject against a white background. If you're going to do checkerboard lighting, I recommend going for either a light gray, a lighter textured gray, or a white background, because it's going to be harder to control the light. If you have something like a black background, it's going to be impossible to do. So what I really want in this lighting setup is, if you look, I already have part of the checkerboard. I have shadow on the right-hand side, and the background is lighter on that side. But I need to cast a shadow on the background to the left side of the frame. So there's a couple different ways I can do this. And one way I can do this is by introducing a flag. I use flags all the time. And in this case, we're going to use the flag to block the light off the background. We're going to cast a shadow onto the background. And the shadow is going to go halfway through our subject, so that on the other side of the face, there's still going to be a light colored or light toned background behind her. So let me place this flag. And all we're doing is we're blocking the light, casting a shadow on the background. Okay. And I don't want it in my frame, so we're just going to bring it in as far as I can without it being in the frame. And now let's see what I've got. So when I take the photograph, I can see that on the left-hand side of the frame, I have cast a shadow. However, it's not totally dark. Like I can still see a little bit of the highlight. What I can do is I can angle the flag, kind of bring it in so that it casts more of a shadow, or quite simply, I can change my angle because it's all shadow behind her on the left. So I can just move my tripod a little, change my position, and now the background is pure shadow. And now I actually have it so that transition, that shadow on the background goes right through the middle of her head. So that's the checkerboard lighting that I'm looking for. Nice dramatic light on her face, shadow, highlight, shadow, highlight. Now, let's say that you don't have a flag like I have here. Anything will do. You can use a black piece of foam core, a black painted piece of cardboard, and I actually do this on a much larger scale. The setup we have here is a 3-foot octabox. When I have big umbrellas with diffusion, like 65-inch umbrellas with diffusion, at times, because they kick light everywhere, I will put a black V-flat up, a 4x8 foot piece of black foam core, and block the light off the background to give me a little more control, even though that big light source throws light everywhere. Another thing I can do to help myself out, especially if I don't have a flag at all, is I can actually change the angle of the light. So I'm going to pull that flag out, and then we're going to feather the light, change the angle so that I can get that shadow, highlight, shadow, highlight. So let me pull the flag out. Okay. Grab the shot again. So you can see I got a little bit of shading on the left, but not enough. And now I'm going to feather my light across, still lighting her face, but by pointing it across the frame, I'm missing the light from hitting the background behind her. So now, same exact thing, dark shadow, highlight, shadow, highlight. Perfect. Sometimes it's going to be easier to set up a flag, especially if you have the exact angle of light that you want. And other times it's easier to not set up the flag and just change the angle of your modifier. So again, this is checkerboard lighting with one light source and possibly adding a flag for a little bit more control.